But let's talk about Holland Finch, how you guys got your music started.
It is me doing everything myself right now. And that's basically what I did most of my life, because I could never get enough people dedicated enough to continue on. So I was pressured myself to, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to do this myself. You know, I basically learned to play the instruments, and I started writing and recording, learned to run my own little studio. So everything you're hearing is unproduced. Everything you're hearing is raw, which is kind of the way I like it. I really...
And that's, for me, I was very blessed that's when I first heard about you, is when you wrote the song honoring John O'Leary. Very, very touching. We added it to the ceremony that we had in honor of John a couple years ago, and that's the first I heard of you. But I've come to hear some of your stuff, and we're going to play some of your music here in a few minutes. But I want to specifically ask you about this first, and we're going to play... that's what I wanted to bring up, is you were kind enough to write a song for the docu-series, Radio Dayz 101 Years of Radio. And we're going to play that in a little bit, and I'll ask you more about that. But I want to start with a song called Yet to Come, because this is, like I said, I have a few songs that I want to play a little bit. But talk about that specific song and how that came to be. How did you write that, and what's that about?
So, Ron, the way that my mind works, it never shuts off. If I'm sleeping, I'm writing. If I'm working, I'm writing. So at that point in time, I built onto a huge addition onto my home for my parents so I could help take care of them. And as I'm drywalling, the song pops in my head, and I don't have any pen or paper. I had a black marker, and I had a chunk of drywall, and I have all this drywall mud and stuff, and I set it down, and I'm writing that song. And that song, from start to finish, was written on that drywall in about 15 seconds, because once it hit, I don't know how to describe it, but it literally was there, and I wrote it down. And that night I went in the studio when I was done drywalling, mudding, and I wrote the guitar parts after I sang the tracks. So in that situation, it was really wild, because the vocals came first. I don't do that often. So I literally sang the song, and then I put the music to after. So what you hear was about 2 hours of writing, recording, and production, and that's the extent of it.